What's going on, my Jack brother? Coach Scott here. In today's video, we're going to talk about tracking your macros the right way to lose fat. This is a topic that I see way too many people overcomplicate. They overthink it and they add so much unnecessary stress to the fat loss process. First, the general macro guidelines for fat loss is 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound body weight. That's been shown to help preserve muscle mass and increase satiety through a fat loss phase. You're looking at 0.3 to 0.5 grams of fat per pound body weight. You want to make sure you're not getting below 0.3 for hormone health reasons. If you're looking at percentage of your diet, definitely no lower than 15% of your total calories should come from fat. I personally prefer to keep them above 20% of the diet. And the rest of your calories are going to come from carbs. Now, these are guidelines, simple guidelines for you to follow. Do not stress about hitting these numbers right on in any way, shape, or form. If you're anywhere in the ballpark, you're getting an adequate amount of each macronutrient. What's always most important is your calorie intake, and most important is hitting your calorie target consistently day after day, which is why I always recommend that my clients begin by just focusing on tracking their calories and simply paying attention to where their macronutrient ratios naturally fall. When it comes to macro targets, it's not so much about a certain macro ratio being better for burning fat as it is about a certain macro ratio making it easier for you to stick with your diet. Consistency is always going to be key. So it really pays to have that heightened sense of awareness when you're tracking your calories, seeing where your macronutrients naturally fall. If you happen to have a day where your protein intake increased for the day, did that have an impact on your satiety levels? Or maybe your fat increased that day and you're like, wow, I just felt more satiated throughout the day because my fat was higher. If that's going to make it easier for you to stick with your diet, you roll with that. And it really pays to have that heightened sense of awareness with how certain macronutrients ratios make you feel. Maybe on those days where you bump up your carbohydrate intake, you notice that your energy is higher. You have better focus, mental clarity. You're performing better in the gym. You just move more throughout the day, which is going to allow you to burn more calories through activity and just living your life to the fullest. So again, paying attention to satiety, energy levels, mood, and how it's impacting your transformation overall. So definitely have that heightened sense of awareness and pick up on those cues that resonate best with you. And it really helps to not just have a heightened sense of awareness with your macro ratio on a daily basis, but also throughout the day, the composition of the meals that you're consuming throughout the day. Do you prefer to have very balanced meals all throughout the day? Or do you find like pre-workout, you thrive from having more carbs in that meal? You perform better in the gym when you have more carbs pre-workout. Some people find that if they have too many carbs pre-workout, they feel sleepy during their training session, which is an interesting experience. Again, it's going to be very individual. Some people, if they have more carbs later in the day, they sleep better. If they have more carbs later in the day, their sleep suffers. So again, it's really important to kind of put the blinders on to what other people say are the best macronutrient ratios or how they respond to certain macronutrient targets. You really need to have that heightened sense of awareness with yourself. How do you feel your best? How do you perform your best? It's all kind of your own personal self-experiment here. And really, this is the kind of the beauty of tracking your intake. It's not using it so much like as this stressful tool that you got to hit these targets spot on in order to experience the results. It's like you're hitting your calorie target and you're simply observing like, all right, when I'm around this certain ratio, I feel my best. When I start to get a little bit too high in the carbohydrates, I don't feel my best. If I start to get a little bit too low in the protein, I'm not quite as satiated. So this is all about you. It's why there's general guidelines and not your guidelines. It just gives you something to start with, to have these observations with, to have that heightened sense of awareness, and to document, like, this is where I feel my best, this is where I don't feel quite so best. And you may not notice a difference at all, which is another very important observation because it's another reason for you not to stress over your macros and just to focus on consuming foods that you enjoy while hitting your calorie target and feeling satiated and energized throughout the day, living your life to the fullest. I know I naturally kind of fall around that 40% carbs, 30% fat, 30% protein, but I'm never like spot on any day. I'm always within the ballpark. And honestly, like I don't notice a difference like the day where like my carbs may be up around 50% and my fat may be lower around 20% and my protein up around like maybe 35%. Like I don't notice all that much of a difference. I just know like if I'm getting an adequate amount, like it doesn't go below 20% fat, I'm not like 80% carbs or anything like that. If I'm anywhere in that ballpark, I feel pretty much the same. Results, exactly the same. So again, I don't stress over my macros. I hit my calorie target consistently, consuming foods that I absolutely freaking love and enjoy, make me feel satiated, make me feel energized, just allow me to perform my best, give the best of myself to all that I'm doing throughout the day. And I personally feel that we need to think beyond just the macro ratio and look at the food sources that allow us to hit those macro targets as well, because all carbs are not quite the same. All fats are not quite the same. So if you are consuming mostly like simple carbohydrates, very sugary carbohydrates, that's gonna have an impact on your energy throughout the day. You may experience multiple like spikes in energy and then crashes, and those sources may not satiate you quite as much. They're not as voluminous in foods where it's not gonna like satisfy, make you feel full. Whereas their starchy carbs can give you more sustained energy throughout the day, can be loaded with more micronutrients in there. And then there's the fibrous carbs that are going to definitely fill up your stomach. They're higher in volume, lower in calories. If you're eating a lot of veggies, like if a lot of your carb sources are vegetables, then man, you're gonna have a lot of food volume throughout the day. You're gonna be getting a ton of micronutrients. You're gonna feel quite satiated, but at the same time, like palate-wise, you may not, you may be missing out on some of those, the simple carbs or the complex carbs that you enjoy the taste and the flavors from as well. So looking at those, when it comes to fats, like if you compare like 2 tablespoons of olive oil in like a salad dressing or something, that compare that to the satiety of 2 tablespoons of some sort of nut butter. Great flavor, again, kind of a small amount, or you eat an entire avocado. All those things, the avocado is going to be more voluminous in food, same amount of calories as about 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. Flavor-wise, I mean, you may love the flavor of an avocado, maybe you don't enjoy any kind of nut butter, or maybe you love nut butter, but the thing with the nut butter is that you want to, once you start eating it, you can't control yourself. You want to eat more. So it's not only not voluminous, but it piques your hunger even more. Yeah, I want more peanut butter in there, more almond butter, whatever it is that you desire. Cashew nuts. Oh my God, this, like, for me, I love nuts, and once I start having them, I just can't stop myself. So you really got to know yourself and the triggers. Whereas if I have an avocado, that one avocado, I'm like, that was good. That satiated me. But like 2 tablespoons of olive oil, it's not going to do much for me at all. So really paying attention to the food choices that you're making to hit those macronutrient targets at the end of the day. So it's not so much about, oh, I hit these certain macros and it made me feel more satiated when I had more protein and less carbs, but maybe it was just the carb sources you were consuming were more simple and didn't fill you up as much, whereas you have more fibrous and more complex carbs, it's going to satisfy you and sustain your energy more. So again, there's no right or wrong here, guys. It's all a matter of you just having that heightened sense of awareness, enjoying the foods that you consume, and just monitoring your progress as you're going along. So in the big picture, macros matter and they don't. Does it make much of a difference if you consume 0.8 grams of protein per pound body weight compared to 1.2 grams of protein per pound body weight? Maybe, maybe not. Does it make much of a difference if you consume 0.3 grams of fat per pound body weight compared to 0.5 grams of fat per pound body weight? Maybe, maybe not. Does it make much of a difference if you consume 35% of your calories from carbs compared to 55% of your calories from carbs? Maybe, maybe not. What's always going to matter most is your calorie intake, having that heightened sense of awareness to where your macronutrient ratios are, and paying attention to what macronutrient ratios satiate you the most, give you the most energy, allow you to feel your best, perform your best, and again, maybe you don't experience much of a difference at all. Maybe your ballpark range is quite vast and wide, as it is for me. Just making sure that you're getting an adequate amount of each macronutrient to sustain your health, your overall well-being, and allowing you to give you the best yourself to each and every day. So again, don't overthink it, don't overcomplicate it, and don't turn macro tracking into an added stress in your life. Just have fun with it and simply use it as an observational tool. Now, I would love to hear from you. What has your experience been with macro tracking? Do you notice that there are certain macronutrient ratios that work best for you? Or do you just not worry about macros and just focus on your calorie intake as well? Drop a comment down below, share your thoughts, share your feedback, share your personal experiences with me. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please do me a favor and smash that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that alert button so you're notified each time I upload a video. If you know a fellow bro who would benefit from watching today's video, please do him a favor and share it with them. And before you go, don't forget to download your free guide, Lose Fat, Get Jacked. Have yourself an amazing day. Catch you in the next video.